Hi, this is Hank reporting from Kyiv, and this is my update on Russian-Ukrainian war. Let's see what happened around Ukraine in the last 24 hours. Dniproges HPP. Russians hunt our drone. Colombians under gas attack. American arms manufacturing in UAE. Traitor Exchanged. MH17 disaster anniversary. In June, Russian missiles again attacked the Dniproges hydroelectric power station. After this, the station was completely off. We were afraid that the Dnipro River dam would be destroyed, which would cause huge damage in the region, but fortunately this didn't happen, but the station no longer provides electricity to our system. Today, the director of the power plant said that restoration will take at least 3 years, provided that terrorist attacks do not happen again. He reports that clearing the rubble from the Russian attack alone took 45 days. I imagine that earlier in peacetime, such a terrorist attack would have gone down in history along with the explosions of the Kakhovka Dam when Russians flooded the entire region in the south, fearing our counteroffensive. And now this is just one of the episodes of this war. While I studied world history and Ukrainian history at school, it seemed to me that all such great tragedies happened so long ago and as in a different world, and now I understand that our children in 10, 50, 100 years later will study what is happening right now. How the events of a real war will compete with each other for what will be more important, because it's impossible to remember everything, there are too many of them. This video was filmed by Russians at the front using the thermal imaging camera of the DJI Mavic Enterprise drone. You see how they hunt for our heavy bomber and shoot it down with the help of their drone, breaking the propellers with a hit from above. The Mavic Enterprise costs about $3,500 and in its basic configuration, and the drone they shot down cost tens of thousands of dollars, and the equipment that it could destroy could cost tens of millions of dollars. To detect, track and shoot down such a valuable drone at night is a very successful hunt for Russian pilots and food for thought for us. The phrase drone war is already heard constantly, and I believe we will soon see new methods of such hunting and countermeasures.
Ataque ruso a gran escala. Mira cómo nos dejaron todo. Con gases químicos y todo, pero estamos preparados. En la próxima.
This video was filmed by a volunteer from Colombia who is fighting for Ukraine. I don't know Spanish and I can't translate what he says, but there's a description to this video that the Colombians came under a chemical attack from Russians who used an unknown combat gas. I met these Colombians several times in Kyiv, but I don't know any of them personally. Correct me if I'm wrong, that the Chemical Weapons Convention was adopted in 1992 and banned all such gases. Russians, by the way, also signed it, but as we see, previously banned cluster munitions, banned phosphorus and banned gas, which should have been destroyed, are regularly used by Russian army in Ukraine. This video was filmed by members of Ukrainian Special Operation Forces a year ago in Bakhmut. You see what a Russian attack with phosphorus shells looks like. This thing is as beautiful at night as it is dangerous. Phosphorus burns through almost everything it touches, and it's very difficult to extinguish. I believe Putin gave his soldiers carte blanche in the hope that winners are not to be judged, and after the war it will be possible to avoid punishment for such crimes, but I'm sure that the history will not forgive him. At the NATO summit, American arms manufacturer Northrop Grumman signed an agreement with the Ukrainian state company Ukroboronprom on cooperation in joint production of weapons in Ukraine. They will provide partners with equipment and personal training for the production of medium-caliber ammunition. I don't know the details yet, but why is this important and what the difference does it make? In 2022, the Ukrainian delegation spoke in Congress with a proposal for cooperation between our military-industrial complexes But it was a political decision of the US government not to allow such cooperation at that moment. For American arms manufacturers, our country, which is waging a large-scale war, is firstly the best testing ground, so to speak. Secondly, there is a huge sales market and a kind of laboratory in which you can be creative. And so Ukroboronprom opened an office in the United States and signed the first private contract at the level of enterprises, not countries. Perhaps this is also a step to limit Trump's influence if he comes to power, because it will not be easy for him to explain to large players like Northrop Grumman why they cannot earn huge money on orders in Ukraine. American weapon production surely benefits from this war in any case. And there is also the option that our own developments such as Maguro 5 naval drones, various aerial drones and Bogdana howitzers using 155mm NATO shells, this can also be beneficial to our partners. For me now, all the international politics looks like an unstable matter that is constantly changing its shape, but it seems the vector of development looks pretty much okay. Today there was a large exchange of prisoners of war, and Ukraine returned 95 from Russian prisons with the mediation of the United Arab Emirates. Among them are soldiers of Ukrainian armed forces, border guards and members of National Guard. Some of them were captured more than 2 years ago. As my friends who were captured and exchanged told me, Russians are telling people that Ukraine no longer exists, Kyiv has fallen and the president has surrendered and they have nowhere else to return to break these people or make them share classified information. Imagine the surprise of such a person when 2 years later you found out that they recaptured most of our territories and returned Kherson, sank the cruiser Moscow, recaptured Snake Island, drove Russians out of near Kyiv and their fleet out of the Black Sea with the sea drones, and we are now waiting for American F-16 jets. In this video you see the reaction of a man who returned home. I can understand him. It seems to me that anyone forced to leave their home due to Russian invasion will feel pretty much the same. I still have to go through this. This is a photo of 3 of those who were exchanged today. 2 people I know and can trust claim that the man on the right is Maxim Bobolev, a Ukrainian soldier who was captured near Kherson in 2022, and he actively collaborated with Russian occupiers, renounced Ukrainian citizenship and took part in beating of captured Ukrainian soldiers in prison. A very interesting situation. Of course, traitors exist, but it's intriguing why this person was exchanged. I'm sure that security service carefully checked the lists and everyone who returned home. In the meantime, my comrades are indigent that such a person was exchanged instead of worthy defenders of the homeland. I'm disclosing this information only because it has already become public and my remark will not harm anyone. Let's wait for events to develop. It will be interesting to see what we find out about him. Today is another terrible anniversary, 10 years since Russians shot down the Malaysian Boeing MH17 over Ukrainian territory. Then 296 innocent people died. There have already been many investigations over a decade. I will just add a few of my memories of this terrorist attack. I remember that news broke out about the shooting down of a passenger airliner by pro-Russian separatists somewhere near Mariupol, and locals started posting photos of dead bodies and things scattered across the field. I especially remember posts about women's cosmetics, which local idiots photographed and praised for their quality. They called it "from the field." For me it was so wild and cynical. Russia, of course, as always, denied everything. They always play the game, prove it that it's me, and do not allow any investigations into their crimes. I'm very sorry for the people who were simply flying about their business and had no idea what awaited for them. The boss of a girl, Hillary, from US, who I used to know back then, was killed on that flight. I think I should add link to the investigation of this crime here. It will be under the video. Yesterday in Kyiv we had a bingo. At the same time there was a blackout and air raid alert, a message about severe air pollution, an abnormally high temperature of 36 degrees Celsius, a record since 1931, a maximum wind speed of 21 meters per second, a record since 1964, plus rainfall and very loud thunderstorm, like heavenly punishment. Today I signed a contract with a new internet provider and I hope that I'll have connection when the power goes out and I can at least work at home on my laptop and have time to shoot these videos in the evenings. It may seem that hundreds of views of one video is not much by the standards of YouTube, where people have like millions a day, but when I imagine that I'm telling this story in front of 100 people, it feels differently. Thanks to everyone who watches and comments. This was my short update on Russian-Ukrainian war for day 875. Take care and see you tomorrow.